Welcome. On behalf of Fully Involved, we're going to do about a 30-minute video to show you version 13 DataTrac-ES and what functionality has changed and what is there for you to begin using. So the first thing we're going to start talking about is the fact that your main page, now instead of having 20 icons with your department patch or trucks or station, whatever you use as your backdrop, you'll notice that it only shows up there once. And the reason for that is just for mere speed. We had systems that were taking 5 to 6 seconds every time you went to your main menu to load. We've cured that problem, and now we have it under 1 second for anything just by going to one image versus multiple images. You'll notice that right now my screen is blank. And I did that for a reason, because I wanted to truly point out the fact that you as a department get to decide what icons and what gadgets show up. So let's start by showing you how you get any of the stuff on there. So if I go to my preferences and I go to my modules tab, you'll see that there's all of my modules that exist. You'll notice that none of them are checked off. As I check them off, this is what puts them on the main screen. So I'm going to check off a number of them, but I'm not going to check off all of them. I'll leave a few out just so you can see how it looks different. I also want to take this time to remind you that Module 12, and most of you have taken up on this, is you can name your modules whatever you want to call them, and you can put in your own images for the icons. The next tab to the right of that is called Gadgets. And what this is this allows us to add, there's 7 different gadgets available that we can put out there. So for the moment, I'm going to put all the gadgets on the screen so that you can see what it looks like and what the different gadgets are. So now when I go back to my main menu, you'll notice that I don't have all the modules because I chose not to put the last 3 on, but yet I do have 5 gadgets across the top plus my Forms gadget and my Links gadget. To start with, my Links gadget is something that's always been there. It just wasn't allowed to be hidden before. The Links gadget can link to anything, whether it be a website, a folder, a specific file, or you can also interact with things like Dropbox and things like Google Drive, so on and so forth from your links. You'll notice that you can have them different colors, whatever you want. The gadget on the right is called Forms, and this is where you can create your department customized forms to be filled out for different reasons. If you look over here, Goodness Mills has one for injury reporting, apparatus crash, exceptional performance, so on and so forth. Just because you have a form doesn't mean it has to be on the main menu either. You can have forms that show up in different modules, as well as you can put them out on your main menu. When I look across the top, you'll see there's 5 new gadgets that were never there before. And the 5 new, to start with, the first one is called Daily Log Quick Link. And what this allows me to do is, again, to try and speed things up. If I just want to go to tomorrow's daily log, I can just choose tomorrow. And what that does is that cuts out me going through waiting for that month page to load, because as we know, that month view has a lot of stuff on it that it loads, so it takes a little bit. So if you know you just want to go to today, you can merely just flip on to today. Okay, so that's what the Daily Log Quick Link is. And you've got some other options. You can go to last week, this week. You can go to custom dates. So if your payroll is across a 2-week period, you could search out those 2 weeks and just have those daily logs in front of you. The next gadget that's available is called Manage Templates. And we, as you know, we have activity templates, form templates, all the templates that we can build to make our life easier when creating records. What we've done is they still all reside in the preferences as they always have, but we've put them out here on the front for quick and easier access for people to be able to grab. The middle one is called Manage Consumables. And this is a brand new module that's being just brought out in this version 13. This is going to allow you to manage items that we're calling consumables. The main drive behind that was customers asking for ways to track EMS equipment. For instance, they want to be able to track how many, when it's time to buy more BVMs or defibrillator pads. This module is going to allow you to track that type of stuff, as well as it's going to tell you when and where you need to buy the stuff and how many you want to order when you get below a certain number. That itself will be its own video that will go over the managing the consumables. The utilities is much like the managed templates in that these are utilities that exist that allow us to kind of back end stuff that we need to do to make our program run the way we want it to. And all this does is gives you a quick link from your main menu. If you're used to going to preferences to get to the apparatus, or to get to the payroll utility, or to get to water sources, you may still do that. We have not removed it from the preferences. We're just giving you a different way to get at it. Custom spreadsheets is, again, a whole nother module. We're going to do a video on how to create these spreadsheets because this is something that's very powerful. But this is stuff where you can create take that back. You can create custom spreadsheets and reports to do things for your department that are your department specific. For instance, I'll just quickly show you, one that Goodness Mills has is called hydrant testing. So when they click on that hydrant testing report, it just quickly goes to a report that tells them this is the way they've set it up, and they've said, I want to see the hydrant and the last time it was tested. So this allows them to do that, and it's just a Goodness Mills report. No one else sees it. It's specific to them. Okay. You can also do things. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet, a report. It can also be what we consider to be a spreadsheet. For instance, if I go to the one that's called desk boxes, you'll see that there's all the desk boxes there in 2014, and scroll back through, and they've gone and they've created the borders for the years. You can do anything like this on basically any data that you're collecting somewhere in your program. We can make it so that it's readily available for you. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is the status bars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw something back on so everybody understands what I'm talking about. But when I go to incident reports, if everyone remembers, this is what's called your status bar up here. This is what allows you to click through your records. It allows you to see that, okay, you're looking at 546 out of 9,700. What we've done is we've removed that status bar from your screens. And the reason we did it is just because that's a lot of landscape that took up that we wanted to be able to have. So how we've gotten away without having that is, when I go in, you're now going to see that's gone. However, I've replaced it with these buttons on the left that allow me to click down through the calls that we've had. You can still see how many calls you have. You see you're on record number 3 of 546. And the other thing we've done is we've made your department icon your home key. And what I mean by that is anytime you see your department icon and you click on it, it will always take you to your main menu. So that's kind of a decent deal no matter where you are, what module you're in. If you want to use that as your way to get to your main menu, you can absolutely do that. Another thing we've done is we have what used to be called reports up at the top. We've changed the name of it to canned functions because it's not just reports. It's reports, queries, functions, and even graphs now. But what we have done is we've gone through and we've numbered everything. And if you look at the number sequence, you can kind of see that, okay, incidents are always the 1s, staff's always the 2, and these are the canned, for instance, the reports. And all this does is give you an easy access to be able to reference it, so that if you call us and you say, we're running the report 104, we know exactly what you're talking about, as well as if you're asking one of your personnel to run a specific report, it gives you an easier way to make sure that you're talking about the same report. Another small additive that we've done is the My Signatures tab, of course, was created in 2012, but we could always go in and you could sign right from here. But now what you can do is you can hover over it. You can see exactly what the report is, or you can say, I want to hyperlink to it. So you could use that little folder right there just to hyperlink to it. Another thing that has been added is and this existed in prior versions on some of the modules, but not all of them. But now I can tell you that consistently on all the modules, if you look, you're going to have what's called a record tab. And all the record tab is it shows you who created the record, who last edited it, and the unique ID about it. So that, if there's times that you're wondering, well, where did this work order come from, or where did this incident report come from, you can go to the record tab and you can see who created it. The next thing we're going to talk about, and this is kind of a larger change, is what's called navigation bars. So right now I'm in the street index, and when I look on the left, I see this darker gray area. This is what we're calling a navigation bar. And what this is this just allows me to see all the records that exist. Even though right now I'm looking at ABC Road, I can quickly say I want to go to Avalon Lane, and it will click me over there. Okay, so I can click between streets as I want. I can also say, you know what, I want to just filter it, and I only want to see streets that are in Dayton, for instance. Now you're going to see that list, of course, got quite a bit smaller. Okay, I could also say that I only want to see streets in Dayton that start with the letter C, and that should, I'm hoping, going to shorten that up quite a bit. So you can use those filters as you see, but you're going to find that this navigation bar exists in the street index. It exists in contacts. So again, I can see everything that's in my contacts table. And you're also going to notice that it exists in all of your utilities, whether it be run cards, water sources. So if I go to my water source utility, I'm going to see I'll see one water source up in front of me, but on my left-hand navigation bar, I'll see all of my water sources. So you can see right here, this is actually filtered to the holding tanks and only the ones that are in service. So if I pull out holding tank, now I've gone back to everything that's in service, and I can say I want to look at the dry hydrant that's on Duke Lane, and I see the specifics about that hydrant. So that is what we're calling navigation bars. Real quick, in preferences, one of the little things that we've done is under inventory, this filter by group was never here, so if you came and you have a lot of groups of inventory, it could be overwhelming. We've just added in the filter page so that I can see just my hose, and I see it by category. One of the things that we've added is under staff payroll. We've had it in the past versions where you could set default pay, and the default pay was secondary to a staff card. So in other words, if you set your default pay at $8 an hour and you went in and you put in their staff card you're going to pay them $10, the $10 would rule. However, we've given you the ability now, you can see up in here where it says default priority, means that if I give it a $2 an hour rate and I check off that that's the priority, regardless what's in their staff card, this is going to overrule. So, and there isn't many, but there's some instances when departments needed that to happen. So that's where that came from. We've created a tab for email in your preferences, and what that is for is just gives you the ability to set up where your emails are going to be sent from. We typically set you up with DataTrac settings, which is fine and good for the better part of our customers. However, some of our customers have firewalls on their servers that only allow emails to go out if they match something of their domain. So this allows us that if that's the case, we can reset it to an email address that you want to see them sent by. One of the other things that changed was we now have in preferences, we have a tab for commands, and this used to be called view all. This is where, if everyone remembers, where we told it what view all buttons do. Well, we also need, now we can tell it what do the exit buttons do. And you basically only have three choices. One is to go through the module, two, direct to the main menu, or you can say I want to display options. So for instance, on in the inventory module, if you get into a work order and you press exit, what is it you as a department want that to do. If you chose through the module, it's going to go back to the unit card, then eventually back to the category card, then eventually back to the main menu. So you may decide as a department, I want exit buttons to always bring me to the main menu. Or what I'm going to do for the moment is I'm going to show you what display options means. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the daily log. I'm going to go to tomorrow. And remember now, I've chosen that I want to go through that I want to display the options. When I press on that exit button, you'll now see that it gives me two options. It says, do you want to go to the month view or the main menu? So again, I've chosen that. Had I chose direct to the main menu, that's what it would have done. If I chose through the menu, it would automatically bring me to the month view, just as it always has in the past. On the bottom of the front page of the preferences, you'll now see that it says allow system requests and allow users to reset their own passwords. This is a function that in past versions was always given to everyone. However, we've run into a few departments that didn't want to give their people necessarily the right to always send system requests and always. So now we've broken that down so that you can, in fact, do that. Real small, but one of the things we've added in the occupancy module is that you can now do a print screen, and it's not the print screen, but it puts everything about that occupancy on the print. So again, not a big thing, but we've added that print button. Real minuscule is on the POs, which if everyone remembers, I didn't have the PO up there as a module. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to put in the POs. Now you'll notice here we're calling it requisitions because that's what they've decided to call them. But as far as where it comes out of the box, it's usually what's called a PO. Real minuscule. One of the things that we changed was we added on the account viewer, for instance, you can now see the percentages. So if I choose my fiscal year and I choose my group as medical supplies and I choose pharmaceuticals, I should be able to see that, okay, I'm 34% through my medical supplies budget, but I'm 76% through the actual line of pharmaceuticals. Again, not a big deal, but it just allows you that as another option to be able to see what it is you have. Another thing we've done, I'm going to go back to the POs, is we've allowed the ability, if everybody looks on the right, you'll see it says estimate. And all that does is when you check that off, you'll see that it puts them in italics, makes them green, and what it does is it allows you to be able to put stuff in. So if you put a PO out to have a vehicle repaired and you suspect it's going to cost about $500, you can put that number in ahead of time so that it gives you a ballpark of where you stand. But yet by checking off the estimate, it shows up in the account viewer italicized like that as an estimate. It shows up here, so it reminds you that that's not the actual cost, but that's kind of what you're planning on. We've also added, this is new, is PO templates. So just like the other modules that have templates, again, to make stuff simple for you, if I create a new PO and I know that every month, I get a CMP bill, I can set it up so that it automatically implants all the information I need, puts in my account numbers so that I don't have to try and fill all this stuff out every time. I can make things easier on me. The one thing that we have changed in the street and the staff module is we had some customers that had some complaints that they would have problems with people changing the staff people's name or the street people's name because they think that they're searching on it. So what we've done is I'm going to go to Cal Vista Drive, for instance, in Dayton. if I click up in here because I'm not sure what I'm doing, it's going to come right up and it's going to flag me now and say, you're about to change the primary information. Cal Vista Drive, do you want to do this or not? And I'm going to say no, because typically I don't. But what was happening is a lot of people would forget that they need to push the search button, and they would just click in there. So what we've done is we've kind of locked those fields down. You can still edit them. It's going to warn you. So we've done that in both the staff and the streets, so to try and prevent that stuff from happening. I'm going to go in. I've got to add in policies so that we can do the other thing. Actually, I think policies was already up there. I just didn't realize it. Again, in Goodham's Mills, they call it general notices. You can call your policies anything you want. It's just an instance of change. So a couple things we've done on policies. One is we have our open up screen looks more like the inventory screen, where you go into, this is the only thing Goodham's Mills has is general notices, but some departments may have SOGs and regulations, or bylaws, or different books. It brings you into that look. The other thing we've done is we have allowed you to put multiple people on the policy. So for instance, this is a general notice about apparatus stores, and you can see on the bottom we've tagged a bunch of people to this so that you can have X amount of people sign off on that policy, so that you know that they're acknowledging that they saw that. Okay, and now again, we didn't have to go in there and add these people by hand. You can import roster templates, so you can say, I want to bring in whatever groups you've defined at your level. Okay, I'm going to take us back out to the main menu. The next module we're going to move on to is the daily log. I'm going to talk about a couple things that we changed there. Couple things that we've done, very kind of minuscule, but we're going to go to today, tomorrow, doesn't matter. You'll see there's a couple things. One of the first things we've changed is, as you can add in a pass on right from here, you can now add incident reports, trainings, inspections, so on and so forth, right from this screen. So that makes it a little more flexibility. You can still add them to the module like you've always been accustomed to, but we've just given you a little bit of flexibility to do that. We've also added a tab that's called Internet Calendars. And what that's driving at is there's a lot of people are using, whether it be in-house calendars that are through their own internet, or Google calendars, so on and so forth. So again, in your settings, you're going to set up what calendars. So for instance, Goodham's Mills uses a Google calendar called Battle Rhythm for all their trainings and stuff. And again, this is the same thing you see on the web, but it just gives it a quick reference of what is it, that calendar that exists. And you can add up, you'll see there's a bunch of blanks. You can add up to 10 calendars that you can see there. My daily log quick link, I'm going to go to today. I'm actually going to go to custom date, and I'm going to go to November 1st. And I want to show you the other thing that exists is we have the ability to, you have these red arrows now, and that will display like what's called a popover. So when we click on Dylan Martin, it'll show you all of the apparent info about that record, so that without leaving the screen, you can see all the stuff, whether it be what the date of pay is going to be. You'll notice that on this one, it actually shows the rate of pay. That is not, that's particular to privileges. If you don't have privileges for your staff, you're not going to see that information. The other thing that's been added is on the bottom here now, there's a checkbox that says show only the shifts that beginning on 11/1. If we look up here at the top, you'll see that this record for Benjamin Harris is dark. And what that means is this record actually started the day before, but that shift overlapped. So if I don't want that to show, I can just check that off, and just like it used to be, you only see it if that shift started on that day. However, you can now see shifts that overlap by leaving that unchecked. You'd be able to see that. We did add a shift field, nothing major, but allows you to assign a shift to every day of the week. And we're winding down. We're almost wrapping up the end of what we have to go over here. There is a couple other things. One of the last things that we have to show you is on the incident reports. You'll now see that Engine 84 here has a hyperlink over, and all that does is take me to all the detail about that truck. So if I'm really looking in particular at the times or the dates or whether or not I want that truck to show in the inverse times, that's how I can get to it. So that is all that there is there, and we appreciate all your business as usual, and we look forward to doing some other videos on right off the bat. We'll be doing the managing of consumables and how to build custom spreadsheets. I hope you enjoyed version 13. Thank you.